Hello, good evening and welcome to UPfront. My name is Raymond Aqua. Tonight, I bring you a conversation with somebody that you surely would know, but it's a conversation on the future of the opposition National Democratic Congress. Just today, a political science study at the Department of Political Science at the University of Ghana has revealed that it is more likely that the incumbent government may be re-elected. What's also more likely is that there will be a lot of happenings between now and the year 2020. But we will focus on the NDC. We will focus on trade and industry, and I'm sure that gives you a link on who's likely to be my guest on the show today. After the break, we will start a conversation on the future of Ghana with one man who knows it all. You're welcome back. This is our... Tonight, my guest is Dr. Spio-Gabrah. The conversation is actually varied in nature because a man of his kind really has a varied background, and I'm sure by now you would know. But we'll start from what is very interesting and more recent. We were suspecting he would. Many said he had to, because in the times where the former president, ex-president, and the late president, John Evans Atta Mills and Ediana Nko were in the contest, he was number 2. So, is he contesting for the NDC's flag bearership? Well, it looks like the answer is a yes. Doc, you're welcome to UPfront.
Thank you so much. And I hope you say good evening to your wonderful audience.
I hope you are doing well this evening.
By God's good grace, I am doing very well.
It's a straight-pointed question. Would you contest when they open nominations for the NDC to actually elect who becomes the next flag bearer?
Well, I think God is the ultimate decider of man's fate. But as long as he gives me good health and the vision and the ideas that he has imparted to me, and the experiences that he has allowed me to have on this planet, I think it is my responsibility and my obligation to make the knowledge and experiences I've acquired available to the people of Ghana in whatever leadership position I'm qualified for. In the past, I've accepted to play various roles in this country, but at the same time, the Western democratic system that we have agreed and accepted to have, which we only celebrated 25 years of the Fourth Republic for, requires that we organize ourselves along the lines of political parties, and that these political parties also prepare individuals who can lead the nation. And then through an elective process, individuals are selected within their parties, and then the parties contest for a national election, and someone becomes the leader of the whole nation. Those who have worked with me, those who've been my friends and associates over the years, are the ones who have remarked about what they consider to be the qualities that I have that would be ideal in a president of the Republic of Ghana. So in all humility, I am ready and willing to present myself to the NDC party when nominations open sometime after the middle of this year for the leadership of the party, which then will entitle me to hopefully win that leadership contest by the end of the year and to be a candidate for the presidency of Ghana for the year 2020.
That's
which,
interesting.
of course, I should expect to win as well.
That's interesting to note. And, of course, there's a recent study that I'll be bringing to your attention too. But before I even go to the point, have you always had this particular intention? Or?
Actually, I cannot say I have had such an intention, but I must admit that numerous people that I have worked with, including at least 2 presidents of this country, have remarked in working with me, and almost all the heads of the organizations I worked with, including the head of the African Development Bank, Babacar Njai, who died unfortunately late last year. The chairman of the Commonwealth Telecom Organization, where I was employed, and also my boss, who was then the executive vice president of the World Bank Group and the chief executive of the International Finance Corporation, where I worked, all spoke independently of each other about what they thought to be my personal leadership qualities and whether I'd ever thought of becoming a leader in my country. And I usually said, no, I haven't thought about that. It wasn't part of my agenda. Okay. But at least one president repeatedly said that to me, a Ghanaian president. And partly because of that, I've had to accept that I am perceived by those who work with me as having the kind of ideas, the kind of vision, the kind of integrity, the attitude to work, hard work, efficiency, competencies that hopefully can help to turn this country around and take us to the very level that everyone believes we are capable of arriving at.
Okay, so my question was directed specifically at the period after the 2016 elections.
Yes, sir.
What did it dawn on you after that election that you just needed to salvage the NDC?
I can't say that. I mean, I can't claim or pretend that I'm some kind of messiah who must come and save or salvage the NDC. But I have presented myself in the past, in the year 2006, which you referred to. So that fact that I can and could be a leader of the NDC and that I should continually be preparing myself for such a situation or position is one that has been in my mind for some time.
You are said to have given the first right of refusal to ex-President John Dramani Mahama.
Right.
To kindly say, I'm not interested in contesting,
Correct.
so that you can actually proceed with the declaration of your intent. It doesn't look like he's going to make that decision anytime soon.
Well, I mean, and that's probably why my supporters have persistently told me since last year that even though I made that offer on a sister radio station, and which I thought was a sign of my appreciation for the leadership that he gives to the NDC, the position that he held as president, for which we all have a high degree of respect, the position of president, which he occupied. But as a matter of courtesy, we ought not to be rushing quickly to claim our potential for leading the party when he is still alive, still is well, and by our constitution of the NDC is eligible for another term in office, Constitution of Ghana as well.
Yeah.
So I thought when I was interviewed by this other station in the middle of last year, that's something we ought to do. But as you're saying, we've been waiting for more than a year now, and now at least 6 months since my statement. And so a time comes when my own supporters cannot wait indefinitely, because every day we wait also becomes difficult for organizing our campaign. And so it became necessary for me to make it clear that while I respect his right to express his interest in it or not, to the extent that he is still considering it, we can't wait indefinitely, and we have come out to make our view known.
Since then, have you spoken to him? Have you had
yes, we've had conversations.
And did he give you the indication that he was going to run?
Actually, every opportunity that he has had, and these are now public events, so it's not me telling you what he has said to me privately. He was in Cape Coast for a unity walk. I was there as well.
Yeah.
We stood on the platform with him. And when the time came for him to speak, he told everybody that, look, he will support whoever is elected as the flag bearer of the NDC. Now,
Quite ambiguous.
I'm not sure. I don't think it's ambiguous. It's English language. Yeah. I will support whoever is elected as the flag bearer of NDC. That statement implies that he may not be the flag bearer of NDC, and somebody else will be the flag bearer of NDC. So he will support that person. Because he's not saying, I will support myself as flag bearer of NDC. I will support whoever is elected as flag bearer of NDC. How do you interpret that in English? He repeated the same in the Western region when they went for a walk in Takwa. But even more importantly, when we went to Ho for the 31st December anniversary celebration, and President Rawlings invited everyone who has declared in any shape or form interest in running for this office. And Professor Alabi, myself, I think Alban Bagbin had spoken already, President Mahama himself had spoken already. And in fact, a gentleman who, I think just the previous day, I don't want to mispronounce his name, but a name like Bampuri, who says he's a businessman from the Upper West, he had only expressed interest on social media the day before. He was also asked to come and speak. Now, when President Mahama was asked to speak by President Rawlings, if he wanted to be presented as an aspirant, he declined to speak. And this was all in public, in the full glare of as many cameras and microphones and, personal phones, cameras as possible. So he may still be reflecting on it. I can't speak for him. I'm not his spokesman. But I'm saying that the NDC as a party, listen, NDC as a party needs new leadership or needs leadership. Many people believe the leadership should be new because the past leadership has been associated with the failure of our 2016 election. It is his family, President Mahama's family, which reportedly on the front page of the Daily Graphic in January last year said President Mahama will not be coming anymore. I didn't say it. They said it. Now, if they've changed their views, if they've changed their views, they are entitled to change their views. But they must come and tell Ghanaians that they've changed their views. And these are the reasons. Then President Mahama himself went to Kenya and said his father advised him that the best time to leave the stage is when the applause is loudest, which I believe you're sending a message to all of us to appreciate where he stood, that the international community is applauding him, go to Kenya and do this work, go to Sierra Leone and do that work, or Liberia and do that work. And maybe that statement meant he felt he had done a great job and there's a good applause for him, and he may want to stand aside. But all that is up to him. I don't want to represent his views.
I get you.
Let me speak for myself.
From the sequence of events, do you think he will not run?
I cannot speak to that. I think you'll have to ask him that when he comes on the show.
Because you actually listed the sequence of events that suggests he will not run.
I leave the facts for all Ghanaians and for your listeners to analyze for themselves. I am here to speak for myself, and you're putting me in a position of trying to speak for him.
Yes, you gave us some information that's relevant.
No, but the information is in the public domain. I've not said anything that is on the public domain. The other meetings I've attended that are private meetings where he expressed other views, which are the private domain, so I cannot speak to those ones. But these are the ones that are in the public domain. And so people can take their own cue and do the analysis. But the fact is that whether he's running or not, there's obviously going to be competition.
Okay. 5
or 6 people have indicated they want to run. And it's possible that when he declares that he may not run, maybe some more people may feel freer to come out and compete as well.
But I mean,
nobody goes to a shop and wants to see only one toothpaste brand there for him to choose. Nobody goes to a restaurant and on the menu there's one food item. If you don't eat fufu, you're not eating today. Or if you don't eat jollof, you're not eating today.
That gives nobody an option anyway.
Nobody who's trying to buy a car doesn't want to think about 3 or 4 possible car models he can buy. So it's in the interest of NDC itself to have candidates. The competition enables us to mobilize the enthusiasm of our foot soldiers and our grassroots supporters. Because 3, 4, 5, 6 people have to go around, bring a message of goodwill to the foot soldiers and to the delegates, share a word with them about how badly the current government is performing, why an NDC government must come back, and why he, she, or whoever is speaking to them may be the candidate for them to consider. That helps the party to organize itself.
You've, on several occasions, touted what's supposed, of course, your rich working experience and all of that. There's an important question that's coming up. Your decision to run, is it based on any empirical data survey that you've done?
Oh, we have a team, we have a research committee that's doing a lot of surveys, but these ones that are coming out from the Department of Political Science and all these places, well, everybody has a right to have.
I'll come to you directly on
everybody
that
has to have a right to have whatever survey they want. We are also doing our surveys.
The credibility of that, they engage 5,000
I don't have the facts. I don't have all the facts.
This is not the first time they have done so.
Very good.
In fact, in the run-up to the 2016 elections, they predicted that the incumbent NDC will lose the election, and they actually said their survey indicators so. Isaac Osman and co, the people who put together this report, indicates that John Dramani Mahama is still the people's preferred choice to lead the NDC.
It don't surprise me. Why? Because in 2016, we all campaigned for one presidential candidate. Everybody, myself. I printed T-shirts for more than 100 members of parliament with the president's photograph, the MP's photograph.
Oh, okay.
I bought motorbikes and distributed to many candidates. I took cash out of my pocket and supported many candidates, including the president. I campaigned on many platforms and on many radio stations and TV stations for one particular candidate. There's only one candidate's photograph that is on billboards all over the country. Still. And almost all the NDC T-shirts that are worn anywhere have one person's photograph on them, mostly. So it's not surprising that if a whole party has lost an election, but there was a presidential candidate that we all want and voted for, it takes people time to change their minds. And especially if the person has eligibility for another term and has not said he's not running, then people have to keep the possibility of that individual running in their minds. So I'm addressing an issue. So I don't deal with the persons.
I get your point.
And so it is normal and natural if at this time a poll indicates that a former president is still the most popular person amongst any category of NDC people for a particular position. But time heals a lot of wounds.
Is it conceivable?
And there's 11 months to go. And we haven't started the campaign yet. I've not gone out and told anybody seriously why they must vote for me, because we are not campaigning yet. The NDC party has not even asked us to pick nomination forms. We are only expressing interest in the position. That's all we are doing. We are not campaigning for the position.
Okay.
Because we have not been authorized to campaign.
Certainly.
So it's like if Usain Bolt is just warming up along an athletics, oval or athletics field, he's not running a race yet. He's only warming up.
How do you take the other leg of the research that says that, the MPP will win if elections were held today? Again,
that's not entirely unreasonable, because the last election that they won was only 12 and a few months ago. So even though they've done a number of things that many people are not pleased with, including many of their own supporters, people still keep an open mind that, well, the guys have only been in office for 1 year.
Okay.
They have a 4-year period to run. This is only 1 year. Let's see what they do in this year and next year. And then after 3 years, people have a better idea of whether...
So it's not inconceivable?
Not at all, not inconceivable. Very reasonable, it's very logical.
That would be the case?
That ought to be the case. They would have had to do some very, very incredibly bad and stupid things for them to have lost the apparent popularity of the government as at this time, just 1 year after being elected.
Let's talk about the NDC now, because this is a party that you seek to lead first and foremost, even before you can become president of this republic. That's the vehicle you use. Many have said that attempt to unify the party with the implementation of sections of the Kwesi report, specifically Unity Works and all of that, has actually virtually been hijacked, so it makes it very difficult for any proper unity to be garnered in the process. Are you of a similar opinion?
Well, unity comes in different forms. I think, above all, we want unity of spirit. People should have a common spirit, which you cannot easily measure and you can't physically examine.
Okay.
In terms of what is in their minds, in their hearts, in their souls, and in their bodies. And I think that unity is about the belief in the potential of the NDC, belief in its capabilities, belief in its history and its future. And I think for that, there's, I would say, 100% unity, because I've not heard of one single prominent NDC person who has resigned from the party because we've lost an election, or moved to the MPP or another party because of the loss of the election. That means the NDC still remains solid. And we are unified in spirit and in body and in our aspirations and in our determination to regain power. But how do we do it is where there may be a semblance of disunity, because we can do it in many different ways. And it is normal when there are different ways of solving a problem for people to aggregate around the different possible solutions.
So I'm asking actually...
You may see it as factionalism, but there's just alternative ways of cooking an egg. Some want a boiled egg, some want an omelette, some want it scrambled, and some want it with corned beef and sardines.
I just wanted to analyze for me, how has this Unity Works been as a tool and the object for the Unity Works being achieved?
There are pluses and minuses of the Unity Works. And let me talk about the pluses. That it helps people to stay fit and to be healthy. A walk.
Yeah,
I did one in Cape Coast.
Yeah.
It took us about 2 hours.
The physiotherapy part is
very good. Number two, it brings party people together who would not normally meet at all, because they either live in different towns, different regions, and what have you. It has also allowed us who are potential leaders to be seen by some of our people. The area that I think people have had a problem with is that so far, and I didn't monitor the Techiman work in detail, the potential leaders of the party have not been able to use the Unity Works as a platform for saying a word or two to the rank and file. I mean, that's the main area where people might have a problem with. But then there are others who will argue that, well, the Unity Works are being funded and bankrolled by certain people. And so those is more or less the person who pays the piper calls the tune.
The former president,
I'm not funding the Unity Works.
The former president, Mahama,
I may not be seen
has consistently spoken at virtually all of these events.
Very good. And my understanding is that he and people who are supporting him are the ones who are funding and organizing the works.
Is that appropriate?
So, I don't think one can. Our constitution guarantees freedom of association.
Yes.
This one, he says, I would like to take a walk here. Do you want to join me? And people join him. I'm not one to sit on a national television program.
This is a national party event.
It's not a national party event. It's not an NDC national headquarters mandated event. That's a very important distinction. The Council of Elders, the Functional Executive Committee have been clear that they have not mandated any works, nor are they paying for it. But they don't discourage it, or even they encourage it, because it brings people together. I've given you the reasons why works are good.
I get your point. But it's just that to many, even the titling of this particular work was to get a party that seems fragmented, united. And that's where the
I can't
speak
for the vision of those who put the works together.
Yes,
you would have to interview them to see why the works. I'm just trying
because
to
when I queried the General
make the
Secretary,
most or the best out of what.
When I queried the General Secretary, he stated this as one of the means that the party is using as a recommendation from the Kwesi-Botwe report.
That there should be works.
Yes, that there should be.
Okay, fine. I haven't seen the report. I can speak to it.
You haven't seen the report?
I haven't seen the report.
You seek to lead the party. You have not seen the report.
I haven't seen the report.
Are you not worried about this status?
Not particularly, except to the fact that I have been in a meeting where the main essence of the report has been presented to us. So I've heard a presentation of the report, as many other party executives and leaders have heard. But I've not read a copy of the report because the party executives have so far chosen to make it a confidential report.
So do you know the reasons why the NDC lost the election from the Kwesi-Botwe
I can write my own
perspective?
20-page report on that without waiting for anybody's report.
That's interesting to know.
I wrote it in 2001, why we lost the 2000 election.
Yes, I actually
just by
have read...
being a party member or just by being a minister of the government, I would have some reasons. Those reasons need not be the same as the reasons you might write or the reasons somebody else might write. That's why there are so many history books.
Or the reasons the Kwesi-Botwe report being put together.
Yeah, different people can write different things about the same phenomenon. In fact, if 20 journalists go to an event, they can write 20 different reports.
The angles may be different.
About the same event, same soccer match.
I get your point. Normal, yeah. But in this particular case, which one would you have preferred? That the rank and file, especially the most important people in the party, are actually made aware of these reasons so the party takes steps all together?
I've uttered many things. Look, if you permit me to speak as a professional communicator, as a trained communications professional, and a former director of communications at party headquarters, a former director of communications for Dr. Mills' campaign team, a former minister of communications of the Republic of Ghana, and the head of communications of the African Development Bank, and somebody who has studied journalism and communication and is believed to have done very well. When you have a report, even the CIA has reports that are public information.
Yeah.
The KGB has reports that are public information. The national security agenda of President Trump is public. It's a public document. So I understand when documents come which are contentious in nature, or where statements have been made which, if they were to go public, would be problematic. Of the 445 pages of the report, my understanding is that there are segments of it which are the raw comments, allegations, accusations that some people made about others in the party, and for which obviously you can't, those people who have been accused of one thing or the other have not been given a chance to respond to those accusations. But the raw statements have been captured just for the sake of the party headquarters and whoever reads the original reports knowing what people said. So that is not a part of a report you want to release. There are words in English and in editing, and I've been an editor for many years, such as redacting, editing, accepting, abstract of a report, précis, summary. There are so many ways to produce a report. So raw data, yes, you don't want to have a report that has raw data in it. You don't want to have a report where people have accused one person or the other and there's no response. But for the sake of the effective reorganization of the party, a version of the report needs to be made available to certain categories of party executives for them to be more efficient. So my view is that if you have the Volta region, a part of the report may deal with the Volta region, people should be able to extract the part of the report that deals with the Volta region and give the Volta region executives that this part of the report refers to what happened in your region. And these are some recommendations that have been made which can make you do a better job next time. Northern region, this part of the report refers to you. Western region, this part of the report refers to you. Communications professionals or communications teams, this part of the report deals with communication. This part of the report deals with fundraising and budgeting and financial allocations. So I think different parts of the report can be given to different groups within the party to enable them to be more efficient.
Why is that not being done?
That is not my decision. No, I'm expressing a view.
Okay.
There are people who are much wiser than I am.
Have you been told why that's not been done?
I think I've given you the reasons that we have heard, which is the document, if released, may be injurious to the party. It may be that it may be injurious to individuals or particular personalities or people who hold particular positions, rather than the party as a whole. But that's a view. Some people hold a different view. There are those who believe that if you go to a doctor and you get an X-ray or blood test or urine test, the doctor should discuss the details of your symptoms and your problems with you. But there are doctors who also don't think they must share the information with you. They should just take a prescription and go and buy this medicine and drink. And both kinds of medicine are practiced without anybody saying one is more legal or illegal than the other. So you get different views on any of these subjects. But I think most people believe that if you take an examination and you get 65%, it is in your own interest to know why you didn't, the 35% you didn't get right, why you didn't get it right, and what you must do differently to potentially score 75, 85 or more in a future exam. So you will always have such differences of opinion.
Okay, but it's interesting the way some of these comments actually are supposed to be put out there, because there are members of your party who believe that going forward, the lessons you learn from this report is what will show whether or not you can win the year 2020 or not. So
we have 3 years to 2020, so I think the lessons can be learned
over a period of time
in numerous ways.
And do you think that the party has started learning lessons?
I would hope so. Already there's an ongoing exercise to register every NDC member at the branch level so that everybody belongs to a branch. And this is a way of strengthening the branches and making us responsible to the branches, making us pay our dues at the branch level, and making us aware of the importance of the branch, because the branch is the polling station. So that is where we vote at. And,
of course.
And so if we begin to take our branches more seriously, it's like the branches of a tree, then hopefully the fruits that come on the tree will also flourish.
And so we are clear. How do we know that those people registering at the branches are truly NDC people?
Well,
because infiltration was one of the issues that
at
actually...
the branch, most people know each other.
Okay.
And so while very few documents or registration processes can be 100% perfect, even if they are 95 or 97 or 98% perfect, you are making progress, I would say.
Okay, but let me bring in some issues that, of course, we'll be moving beyond the party pretty soon. But the understanding that we have from the former president, John Dramani Mahama's office, and even former President Rawlings' office in this case, is that you need a perfect, strong machine, being the party as the most important part, and getting the flag bearer will just be an icing on the cake. Indeed,
I used to say that myself.
The former president, John Dramani Mahama, believes that it was not really the rider of the horse in this case that was problematic, but it was the horse itself that had problems that needs to be retooled. Is that a diagnosis you identify with?
I have referred to the NDC situation as similar to a car that has had an accident, and that we all must go around looking for parts for that car and fix the car, get the various fluids, engine oils, etc., before we worry about the driver. So that analogy has been used in different forms, whether it's a lame horse, whether it's an accident car. And that's why the party itself has not called for a driver. The party itself has not called for a rider. The car is being fixed, the horse is being healed, and we will get riders and drivers in due course.
Can the NDC win 2020?
I won't say with ease, but with determination, with commitment, with unity, with better organization than we had in 2016, with all the respective wings of the party working more efficiently than we've had in a long time, we have the capacity and the capability to win. It will not be an easy contest.
Would this require sweeping changes at the national level, at the regional level, and also at some even local levels too?
It will require some radical changes in the way we do things, the way we manage the assets of the party, the way we raise funds, the way party members themselves come to be more committed to the party. Already trying to get party members to register and asking them to pay 1 cedi for a membership card. We hear from many places, not everybody is happy to pay 1 cedi because some would like it for free. Well, that's understandable, but you must show a commitment to any organization you belong to, whether it is a Ghana Journalists Association or a secondary school, alumnus organization you belong to, or any KIU association, or whatever anybody belongs to. Almost everywhere we belong to anything, there's some minimum commitment one must show to be part of that body. And I think 1 cedi as a membership card fee is not an unfriendly amount.
Can the NDC win elections with the current leadership intact, party level?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody's trying. I don't think all elected officers of the NDC are trying to stay put. No. There are many who have given indication that they will not be running again. There are many people who will try to run, but in different positions. Others may try to run in their current position and may lose. So it's up to the electorate to determine how that works out. But a significant reorganization of the party is required from branch level all the way to the top. And that's why we've begun that very process as we speak.
Can the NDC win the election with former President Mahama as its leader?
It depends on the circumstances under which that can happen. I wouldn't say there can be only one particular leader for the NDC, or no NDC leader can win an election. Several different NDC leaders may or could win an election. As to whether they win it easily or with difficulty, that's yet to be seen.
In the case of former President Mahama, can he lead that particular?
He will have to answer that question. I mean, you're always putting me in the position of speaking for other people.
No, I'm actually getting
I'm saying
you
anybody.
I've
answered your question by telling you that there are several different people, including myself, who could all win an NDC election against the MPP, depending, and that's the bottom line, depending on numerous factors.
Can the NDC win
their capacity to rebrand themselves if we need rebranding. So as I sit here, for example, there are people who are advising me on things that I may do differently. Even my hands, I'm told I gesticulate a lot. So if I can hold my hands and not gesticulate a lot, maybe it might help me.
That's interesting to note in this particular case.
Yeah, but I'm rebranding myself.
Can the NDC,
and others may have to rebrand themselves if they tend to be candidates.
Can the NDC win 2020 without the active participation of former President John Rawlings?
I don't think the NDC can win any election without the active participation of all its members. All its members. And of course, President Rawlings is a very important member. He's the founder of the party. He has a great following. President John Mahama is a very important member of the party. He was just the recent president. He has a great following. So I would expect all NDC members, including at least our two former presidents. And, there's only, I think, President Mahama was a vice president before. There's also now a vice president, former vice president. I mean, all former office holders. Chairman of boards, general secretaries in the past, former chairman, CEOs of our state agencies. Anybody who, you see, when it comes to elections, the term of the Queen of England has the same value as a KIU.
I get your point.
One term, very powerful. So it's not about somebody being more important than others.
I'm taking a second to drill down to you.
But I'm saying that all NDC members, irrespective of their seniority, need to be on the battlefield for this 2020 election. They cannot be staying at home. They have to be on the battlefield. The battlefield means many things, including being there on the day of voting to put their thumbprint on the ballot paper.
What pushed you ahead of all of those who have declared interest in contesting the elections today?
I don't like to talk in terms of being ahead. I've already admitted that President Mahama or any other president who has just lost an election should be seen as a front runner if that person chooses to run.
My question really is
So I'm not going to be talking about being ahead of others.
What's your trump card?
I may be different.
I'm asking for your trump card.
Everybody is different. If you go to a beer bar, there may be 6 kinds of beer there. You choose one beer, another person will choose another beer. So I'm putting myself forward for the party to choose. So
what makes you very different from
alternative, Pepsi Cola, I don't know whether it's better than Coca-Cola. And for those who like fast food, I don't know whether McDonald's is better than Wendy's or Burger King. There are different kinds of burgers. So people will aggregate behind the McDonald's line.
Doc, what's that extraordinary quality that sets you aside?
I won't talk about setting me aside. I'll talk about what my vision is, what my capabilities are, what my competencies are. And if you see them as setting me aside, or your audience sees me as setting me aside, then that's fine. I've had the privilege of what I consider as working in a variety of institutions, and in the process learning a lot in a manner which some people may not have had a chance to do. In my lifetime, I have worked as an advertising agency executive, as a banker, as a salesman, as a farmer, as a teacher, as a church chief of staff, a later chief executive officer in 3 major international organizations. That's allowed me to work with Brazilians and Mexicans and Portuguese and South Africans and Mozambicans, Peruvians, flew from Moldavia, and therefore to learn about different things people do to make them efficient and capable.
And you said
among other things
in the Ministry of what do you call it, Trade and Industry.
No, in Ghana, in Ghanaian terms, I've had the privilege of being a diplomat and ambassador, so I've seen what it takes to represent your country overseas. Not everybody has had a chance to do that. I've had the chance to work in 4 separate ministerial portfolios: Minister of Education, Minister of Communication, Minister responsible for Mines and Energy, Minister for Trade and Industry. I've had the chance to be on the boards as chairman of several Ghanaian boards and to introduce landmark legislation. The Ghana Education Trust Fund, I had the privilege of introducing it, and it's still alive today, mobilizing several $100 million every year to support educational activities in Ghana. And it was not an instruction given to me to go and establish it.
As Minister
I
of
established
Trade,
it based on what I saw needed to be done.
As Minister of Trade,
etc. So,
what's your remarkable contribution and achievement there?
It's difficult to put my finger on one thing, because by the time I got there, remember that of the 8-year administration of President Mills and President Mahama, I only served in the last 2 years.
I get you.
So basically, it was like a football match where I was called in at the 80th minute to see if I could score 1 or 2 goals. So it was difficult.
Could you score goals?
I did my best. At least I saw to the completion of the Commander Sugar Factory, which I think the current government has allowed to sit down for 1 year. Somebody's causing financial loss to the state by allowing a whole state-funded factory to sit idle without.
They say it was not operational
forward.
When they came. They had to review it.
It was very operational. It had crushed sugarcane. It had produced sugar. We had samples of it. The television, cameras were all there to see the whole process taking place. But that's just one thing. We had an export campaign, export plan for Ghana, which I believe the current government has taken over, where we had identified some 11 priority export products that could really help to transform and change our country's economy. So implementation, obviously, we didn't get a chance to do that. We had a brand Ghana office where we were trying to brand the whole country. In other words, just as I may be a brand, your television station and multimedia and Joy is a brand, Ghana also is a brand globally. But this government came and has literally killed the brand Ghana office, even though the appointees there were not political people.
To be fair, they said that office is also moribund and that they actually had to do something else about branding the republic.
Let them do their branding the way they seem fit. But the brand Ghana office is a government agency. Even if you want to remove the people there and put your own people there, which they are doing all over the place, going below the level of a chief executive officer or the board, which in the past were the levels at which changes took place. They're drilling deep into many organizations, to director level, to manager level. In a few places, even a security officer, watchman, can be made to go home if people say, this guy is
I've not heard of any place
like that. You will hear about it.
It's because I've not heard anybody say that what they call security officers are also being replaced.
We've heard about that.
Which institution are we talking about?
I think Cocoa Board is the main place where some of these things are taking place.
Wow, all security men being removed too?
Correct.
Okay, but let me ask this particular question.
But the Made in Ghana committee
was
one of the highlights of the last administration, which again, this government may again have their own way of doing it. But Made in Ghana, I mean, how many ways do you want to promote?
They have their own campaign on
Made in Ghana. Is Made in Ghana. Yeah, but the committee was disbanded. And the committee was not made up of politicians. Representative Association of Ghana Industries, representative of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, representative of the Chartered Institute of Marketing, Institute of Public Relations, Advertising Association of Ghana. It was professional bodies that were represented on the committee. Again, they could have introduced their own individuals if they wanted and carried on from where we left off. The problem with governance in Ghana is the tendency when your father has built a house with a certain foundation and then you come and all you have to do is to build the first floor and the second floor, then you come and destroy the foundation. Because you have a better plan.
Because they think that the foundation is not in the best shape and that ought
the
to be
NPP said that Job 600, which Kwame Nkrumah built in 1 year for the AU conference of, I think, 1965. This is now the building behind the State House, behind Parliament House. We used to call it Job 600.
It's operational now.
It was the 600th job, I believe, that the State Construction Corporation put together under Kwame Nkrumah. They said it was sinking, that the building was useless. It would collapse. 50 years later, the building is there, and they have their offices in it.
Yeah.
New Patriotic Party. So if you listen to MPP and everything that CPP did was always all bad, so they proscribed the party, made membership of it a crime, banned all the books and the videos and music of Kwame Nkrumah, TUC, Trade Union Congress, banned. And banned everything that was actually Kwame Nkrumah, United Ghana Farmers Council, a farmers cooperative, banned. Now we are back into NDC.
One factory.
Where are the factories? You see,
they said they would do 61 of them.
They said they would do 51, F51 for 2017.
2017.
How many did they do?
They said that the processes were actually a bit
First
cumbersome.
of all, you went and placed that 101 factory in the wrong ministry where the person there, as far as I know, had no idea what they were doing.
Which ministry is this?
Well, they have created so many ministries, I can't even give you the names. 110 ministers. A party with competent people who are more competent than NDC. When two people used to do the work of NDC in one ministry called transport, they have 3 ministries with 7 ministers doing the work that 2 NDC ministers used to do. Is that competency?
I want to be clear in my mind. Do you, as a former trade minister, think that the one district, one factory will work?
I don't know what it means. You want to establish one district, one factory. Under NDC, we establish more than 2, 3, 4, 5 districts, factories in any one district. The only difference is that we did not package it as a slogan. NPP were very good at sloganeering. One village, one dam. Tell me which village you know has got a dam.
They also say this year is the implementation proper year.
So when they were borrowing 2.5 billion, they couldn't build one village, one dam with it. One dam, just one dam.
It was for preparatory works, they say.
This is the first time I've seen in a budget of a ministry that preparation of a budget for the ministry, which is done by civil servants, costs 2 million. It costs money. What kind of budget preparation was that?
This ministry,
it's
they say,
ordinary public servants who prepare budgets.
Development authorities.
If all budgets were being prepared by consultants or whoever was being paid this 2 million, forget about the 100,000 CD website, which was a more popular subject. We wouldn't have a government of Ghana. Civil servants have been trained to prepare budgets. They prepare it routinely. And of course, they may ask for some sitting allowances here and there. But not 2 million CDs just to prepare a budget for a ministry. And the whole budget that has been prepared with the 2 million, when you look at line by line, I mean, people were laughing.
You seem to think that the NDC and the MPP in the first year performed woefully.
And that is the ministry, I think. And you have
Special Development Initiative.
I think that's where they went and put the so-called one district, one factory.
Oh, they said a secretariat for it, one district, one factory secretariat.
And I'm said it was under that ministry. And now the latest thing I read, which I cannot verify, ask MPP, is
that they moved it to trade.
They are moving to trade and industry. So it took them 1 whole year. 1 whole year. People of competency.
Actually, they moved it last year.
But it has only been announced this month. It was not announced last year. It is this year that it has been announced, and we don't even know the timetable for the actual physical transfer of the one district, one factory secretariat to the Ministry of Trade and Industry, because it takes quite a bit of work. Letterheads have to change, business cards have to change, all kinds of things have to change.
And it's expensive. Akufo-Addo delivered for your understanding and appreciation.
Oh, how? I mean, my brother. I mean, unemployment was the main issue that they used to get NDC out. And some allegations of corruption, which again, some of it was in the news, some of which may be concocted, and they're
the corruption?
Yeah. I mean, they're yet to prove it.
There are people actually being put before court. NCA, for example, is before court.
Before court is very easy. Convicting them is another matter. So the person is deemed innocent until proven guilty under the laws that operate in this country. So, yes, prosecuting, they will try and prosecute as many people as they can. But conviction may be another story.
Would you go to court to support these people?
Well, if I have time, why not? If I have time. I mean,
the former president, Mahama, thinks that you should.
Well, he says we all should be sympathetic to them and should support them in various ways. Going to court is one way to support them.
Yeah.
If they establish legal defense funds, which people are entitled to do so, and they can contribute to a legal defense fund to help with their legal bills, there are different ways of supporting. You can send them a text message that, oh, Chief, I really wish you well in the case that is coming up. So there are many ways. I was in the delegation of the first delegation of NDC who went and visited some of our colleagues who had been incarcerated in Sawam in 2001, 2002. Alaji Hudu Yaya, E.T. Mensah, Tornado, myself, Shariati went to Sawam prison to visit our colleagues. So I've always been in the forefront of being sympathetic and, and supporting those who may find themselves in various difficulty. But at the same time, if you find a government that is prosecuting people for whatever is alleged to have happened in NCA, but where the same government is overlooking $20,000 payments, apparently just for an appointment to the president, Never happened in the history of the Republic of Ghana that a President, Kwame Nkrumah, you want to see him, you have to pay 10,000 pounds or 10,000 cedis. President Rawlings, you want to see him, okay, pay 50,000 cedis. Nobody can understand it. But it's an MP who drew attention of the whole Ghana into the presidency. Mr. President, shine your eyes. You know, open your ears, because things are going on around you which are not palatable. That's an MPP, Member of Parliament, raising the alarm. People disregarded the alarm. There was a whitewash of that statement with either the BNI or somebody coming out to say nothing's happening there. Okay. So somebody sitting somewhere said, but if 3,000 crap, nothing's happening, then let's raise the price. 100,000. Okay. So now to sit by the president, $100,000.
Doc,
that one too, I think a report has come out, there will nothing happen.
No.
So you let's wait for $1 million price sometime 2018.
It's interesting to note, and this conversation we should have consistent, because the other issues we could not explore today. Many thanks to you for joining us today. My time is up, and my guest today has been Dr. Spio-Gabrah. He's a former trade minister. He's held various positions in times past. He wants to lead the NDC and eventually lead Ghana in 2020.